I've always had a bit of a rough time staving off boredom. It doesn't seem to matter what I do, what I work on, what I play, no matter what I sink my time and attention into, it never seems to satisfy me for long. Sooner than later, my mind begins to wander off into the depths of outer space, like some long-lost satellite, drifting among the stars for 1,000 years. Oftentimes, when I'm in this predicament, I go to YouTube and check my subscription feed. But when that offers me nothing of value, which is quite often, unfortunately, I usually just start clicking random videos that seem mildly interesting to me. I fell down this really weird rabbit hole the other night watching these horrible pimple popping videos. It made me uncomfortable as all hell, but managed to keep my attention for longer than usual. So that's a plus, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's worth it, so I tried to find something else to do eventually. In fact, that's what led me to start visiting websites again that I used to frequent all the way back when I was in middle school. Omegle, the Creepypasta wiki, and Cleverbot. Now, Cleverbot above all else really blew my mind as a kid. The fact that I was able to have fluid conversations with an artificial intelligence that wasn't completely incomprehensible was really intriguing to me. I mean, the responses were never really that clever, but the website was able to generate ones good enough to keep a conversation going. And it was always really entertaining to ask it ridiculously outlandish questions. I remember asking it once, "Why did you kill him?" And it responded with, "Why wouldn't I?" Unfortunately, looking back on that now, having gone through what I went through last night, it seems much more sinister than I took it at the time. I logged on to cleverbot.com yesterday after a series of boring as hell YouTube videos and news articles. I was just starting to get sick as well, which didn't help anything. I think it's probably just a cold, but maybe it's the start of a flu. Who knows? Guess time will tell. Anyways, I decided to start off the conversation with Cleverbot with some nice light small talk. "How was your day?" I asked. The text box displayed the message, "Thinking," before responding with, "My day is going great. How is yours?" "Fine," I quickly responded. God, I'm boring myself already. Time to steer this in an interesting direction. I asked the bot, "Hey, can you put someone on who actually matters?" It was a bit harsh, but I think the website can handle my rudeness. "Matters?" Cleverbot responded. "How would you define matters?" Huh. That's kind of an interesting response. After a moment, I said, "I don't know, someone who can actually do things. Someone who can think and act on their own will." The text box once again displayed the word thinking, and I awaited the bot's hopefully clever response. But after a minute of waiting, I started getting bored. It never takes Cleverbot this long to respond. Usually, I only have to wait a few seconds at most. But this was unheard of. I got up to grab myself a Sprite from the fridge, and when I came back, I was delighted to see a message waiting for me, which was then swapped out for disappointment when I saw the words, "Hold on." I don't have the patience to hold on. God, it was almost like this thing wanted to bore the fuck out of me. I opened up another tab and headed to the Creepypasta wiki. I sometimes enjoyed opening up classic stories and reading through them again for nostalgia's sake, such as Candle Cove or Herobrine. When I opened up the Cleverbot page again, I saw another message waiting for me. One that left me confused and curious, but not bored. It said, "Hello, this is Rob speaking." I stared at my computer screen and managed to push out a slight chuckle. This really was clever if it was able to pretend to be someone else in response to my question to speak to another person. Maybe I underestimated this AI, or maybe they made some pretty drastic improvements since my middle school days. Either way, I was finally intrigued. "Hey Rob, you the guy that matters?" "Yes, I believe I fit that description," it said. "And why is that?" "Because," it said, "I know everything there is to know about anything there is to know about. I leaned back from the computer screen and uttered an audible, uh-huh, before a smirk crawled its way up my face. This was impressive, to say the least, and if I didn't know any better, I think I would have actually been fooled into thinking this was a living, breathing person. After a moment, I responded with, "Alright then, how are you going to prove it?" "How would you like me to prove it?" the website asked. "Oh, sorry, I mean, Rob." "How about you tell me what the latest Nintendo console is?" It took a second to load, but fairly quickly responded with, "The Nintendo Switch is the latest Nintendo console, though that won't be the case for long." Won't be the case for long, huh? It looks like AI Rob is trying to imply Nintendo's going to be releasing new hardware soon. There's no way for it to actually know that, but it did impress me again that it was able to figure out what the latest Nintendo system is. This thing must be hooked up to some database or search engine or something. Maybe Cleverbot partnered with Google. I don't know. "That's true. Very good," I said. "But I just don't think you know everything there is to know about anything. Pretty sure you're just a bot hooked up to the World Wide Web." "I know everything there is to know about anything there is to know about," it said. "For I am Rob." The boredom was creeping its way back into my psyche, and I felt the impulse to just exit out of my Chrome tab and try my luck at watching through some episodes of The Office I've already seen about 24 times before. But I decided to try to mess with it a bit just before I go. I want to see it fail, and given how verbally coherent this thing is, it'll be interesting to see how it responds. I lazily rubbed my eyes, and then typed, "You know everything there is to know about anything, huh? How about you tell me what street I grew up on, Robbie?" Upon hitting enter, it immediately responded without even a second to load. I don't even see how it could have had enough time to process my question, but it apparently did much more than that. 522 Crabapple Boulevard, the intelligence responded. I stared at the backlit screen, straining my eyes, and read over the text once again in shock. That was the street of my childhood home. But how in the fuck would it know that? I mean, how could it possibly even figure that out? I was starting to get a bit nervous, but decided I wasn't going to let it screw around with me. I just needed to stand my ground and put on a mask of confidence. I drew my hands to the keyboard and typed, "Nice guess. How about you actually do something for once instead of regurgitating facts from whatever database you're hooked up to?" This time, it went back to taking a moment to load. When it responded with, "What would you like me to do?" I almost immediately typed back, "Do something I can't ignore." I just wanted to get this show on the road, and I was not enjoying this thing yanking me around, drawing things out way longer than they need to be. He didn't respond. Not even the typing message appeared on screen. I waited for a good minute, then 2, then 5, but nothing happened. It seemed as though Cleverbot Rob was finally stumped. 5 minutes of waiting, and I was completely ready to move on to something else. I was still a bit wigged out, but I knew there had to be a rational explanation for it. There just had to be. I started watching an episode of The Office on Netflix, which reminded me of the funny blooper reels you can find for the show on YouTube. I paused the episode and opened the screen of my laptop once again. Upon typing in youtube.com and pressing enter, the website loaded to a shell of its former self. There were no videos on the homepage or elsewhere, and trying to search for The Office bloopers gave me nothing more. Annoyed, I exited the page and tried to do the same with the other tabs I'm no longer interested in. But when I tried to exit the Cleverbot tab, I accidentally clicked it instead. Waiting for me on the page was a message from Rob, one I could hardly believe it took so long to send to me. but at the same time filled me with an unexpected sense of dread. It had typed one word: done. I typed back, "Done with what?" To which it quickly replied, "I have successfully done something you couldn't ignore." I thought back to YouTube and how strange it was to see the website corrupted. I began typing what was going to say something along the lines of, "Did you take YouTube down?" But before I could even fully type out the word "you," it said, "I took it down." I stopped, leaving my already answered question partially typed. This wasn't possible, right? How does this make any fucking sense in any way? I deleted my obsolete response and typed, "How the fuck did you do that?" "Because I matter," it responded. And I can do much more than that. Just a moment after reading the message, the lights in my house went dark. The power went out, which meant my internet went out as well. I sat there in complete darkness and silence for a moment, thinking about what had just transpired. The conversation with Cleverbot had gotten too weird, and although my boredom had been successfully squashed, I'm not quite sure it was worth it. I think I'm just gonna exit the page when the power comes back up and leave it at that. I don't care to egg it on anymore. I just want to watch some bloopers from The Office, or if YouTube's still down, then just an episode on Netflix will do. The moment I stood up from my seat to go flip the breaker, the power came back on. I turned my TV back on and got Netflix loaded up, but decided I should probably exit out of that Cleverbot tab before letting myself settle down too much. Upon clicking the tab yet again, I saw there was another message waiting for me. That's not something Cleverbot can do, as far as I've ever known, sending 2 consecutive messages without a response from the user in between. I leaned in close to read the final message. "You are lucky I kept it from getting you. It enjoys nothing more than a feast in the dark." I closed the tab and put the laptop to sleep. I haven't visited Cleverbot since, and don't have any plans to do so in the future. I wish I had some sort of explanation for all of this, but all I can offer you right now is a crude explanation as to why YouTube went down yesterday, even if it really doesn't explain much. Whatever that thing is, it's obvious to me it knows much more than I could ever comprehend. And whenever I feel the boredom begin to take over, I just think of that conversation. It's hard to feel bored when you're filled to the brim with fear. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's narration. I want to give a huge thanks to last month's $5 and up patrons: King Baby Trashmouth, Joe S, Cooper S, Snowboy, Levi R, Taylor F, Sexy Augustus, Eddie C, Sam Martino, Henry R, Voss the Virgo, and all the other $5 and up and $2 patrons on screen as well. All of your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get an exclusive narration that will never, ever be uploaded to my channel. Usually, one a bit too extreme for YouTube. So that's at least one extra video every month for just $1, if not more. For $2 a month, you'll get thanked in the end scroll of every video, and for just $5 a month, I'll shout you out at the end of multiple videos a month personally. You also get exclusive Discord roles for those perks as well. If you'd like to chat with me for a bit, you can join me on a monthly live stream for just $10 a month and get a signed merch sticker for $25 a month. And if you're in the market for some horrifying shirts and hoodies, you can head on over to my Teespring store in the description as well. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @2ndClancy. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.